Welcome everyone to the Knitting by the Sea podcast. My name is Lisa. I am Saratoga Knitting on Instagram and Ravelry, and I welcome you to my home today. I live in Marblehead, Massachusetts, which is a little harbor town just north of Boston, and I live in a very old house. This house was built originally as a warehouse in 1750 and converted into a residence in 1850. So we feel very privileged to kind of be the caretakers of this property for a certain number of years. Today I have quite a bit to show you. I have several finished objects. I have new works in progress, and I have some spinning that I've been doing, and I'll have some chatter at the end to kind of let you know what has been happening here. So let's get started. Finished objects. I have a few to show you today. The first one, of course, is sitting right behind me. This is the Yomp sweater by Kate Davies, and I purchased this as a kit last year, as I was really excited about it when I saw it. And I just, if you follow me, you know we had a rough year last year. So I thought this was going to be a really nice gift to myself, and I'm very happy that I did it. So I purchased it as a kit from Kate. So it came with all of the correct yarns and the colors. This was one of the original colors. Actually, I think it's the original color that's in the pattern, and I really liked this group of colors, and so that's really why I went with it. I could have finagled some of my own, but I thought, no, I'm just gonna go ahead and try a kit from her, and I'm really glad that I did. I had not knit with her yarns before. My sister-in-law Tracy has knit with her yarns quite a bit and really likes them, and I really like them as well. As I said, this was my very first time. Very soft yarns, really conforming to the pattern well. They blocked out beautifully, and you can imagine that there's so much color work in here that it was a little bit crunched up when I finished it, of course, from the tension of all the color work, but it blocked out beautifully, and it actually turned out to be exactly the right size. It felt a little bit small when I tried it on before blocking. After blocking, it was perfect. It came out to the perfect measurement. So I'm very, very pleased with this. If you've watched before, you also know that I had some issues with the pattern. Just a few little things. And the first thing was really just basically at the bottom here. You can see, I've shown you this before, but at the bottom, and actually you can probably see it on the sleeves as well, that the color work here on the edge of the sleeves, and in the pattern, the way you start these little blips of blue would be backed right up against the color here on the edge of the arms. And I really didn't like that. And I actually looked at the picture of the pattern, and the picture in the pattern shows a demarcation here. So it shows the white stitches before you start working the little blips of blue. And so basically what I ended up doing is looking at the chart. It's as you can see, it's a very simple chart, because these just move over once every other row. And so what I did is just basically started and did an extra row of white before I started the color work, and that worked out perfectly, and I'm just happy that I did that. I had started the sweater, and I just didn't like the way it looked. I probably had gotten maybe up to about here or so, and so I just decided to rip it back and start it again, and I'm glad that I did that. I often do that when I'm working on large projects like this. I will be so enthusiastic, and I'll just get going, and I'll start, and then I will realize something in the pattern that either I didn't do right, or I didn't like the look of, or maybe I grabbed the wrong needle size by mistake, and I will tend to just rip it back and start fresh. And so I always have that in my mind, that when I start a big project like this, I usually start it twice, if not three times. But that's perfectly fine. There's no issues with that. But I'm really, really, really happy with the way this turned out. It was really beautiful, and as I said, it blocked out really nicely. It will be a lovely piece to wear in the fall. Not right now. That's why I'm not wearing it today, because it is hot and it is the summer here. But I really like the color transitions. This piece up here was fine. Moving from this part here up to the color work and moving, because you do the sleeves separately and you add them on. So you do the body part up to here, and then you knit each sleeve, and then you attach the sleeves, and then you begin working up. So it's started from the bottom. It's a bottom up sweater. This also, attaching the sleeves was a little bit wonky, just in making sure that you get the right patterning all the way across. So you have to be very careful where you stop on your sleeves. And so you have to make sure that you're in the right place in the pattern so that it continues over kind of seamlessly. You don't really notice that there's a difference between the sleeves and the body. You're doing some decreases here after you attach the sleeves, and so as I said, it's perfectly fine, and it's not the patterns issue. It's not an issue with the pattern. It's just an issue with actually doing the knitting part of it. So you have to be very careful when you end up with this. Finish the 2 sleeves and then begin to attach them to make sure it really is in the right place in the right pattern. But other than that, it was perfectly fine. I can't remember. I don't think I did not. There's an option to do some short row shaping in the back, and I did not. I decided not to do that. And sometimes I will do that, but this time I decided not to. I think for the size of it, I didn't need the short row shaping in the back. And when I tried it on after blocking, it was fine. I really did not need that extra short row shaping in the back. If you're not familiar with that, if you do a couple of extra rows, so short rows, so you do a few back and forth without going all the way around in your sweater, and that basically just helps the sweater lift up around your neck and pull down a little bit in the front, rather than having it be too symmetrical and pulling down from the back and down from the front. So the extra short rows just give you a little bit extra fabric in the back to help it sit better on your shoulders and bring it down. This particular pattern for me, I didn't need to do that, so I didn't. But I'm really happy with this. I'm looking forward to wearing this, and hopefully getting lots of compliments when I do. This is one of those sweaters, which I'm sure many of you have done something like this, where people actually don't believe that you did it yourself. So I'm looking forward to wearing that into work when the fall comes, not in this heat that we're having right now. So that's my big finished object. I have started another sweater now, but I'll talk about that in works in progress. My second completed project is called the Bondi, and it's by Meg Gadsby. And I'll try to put pictures of all these in when I edit this. I'll put some pictures up. But I actually went to Saratoga back in May, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the podcast as well. But I went to Saratoga in May, and usually when I go away, or I'd like to get some souvenir yarn, something to remind me of what that particular trip. And this year, Sophia and I and my sister-in-law spent an afternoon together. We stopped and had coffee downtown, and then we also went to the local knitting shop and searched around for some yarn to do. And this is some beautiful yarn that I picked up there. Oh, it's actually absolutely lovely. And I decided I have another project that I actually bought the yarn for that I'll show you next. But once I finished that, it was just a small cowl, and I had quite a bit left over. And so I decided to do another shawl. I knew that I had enough. It's very, very pretty. It starts out on one end, increases, and then you decrease down on the other. It's kind of a crescent-shaped shawl, and it's really just beautiful. It's very simple. This is a very simple lace pattern with just some yarn overs placed. And I really liked the way this came out, so I decided to do the plain garter stitch stripes, and the lighter with the other. And you can see there's a larger portion of the lace pattern down here at the bottom. And there is a picot bind off, which again is really simple to do. It looks like it's complicated, but it was really very, very simple to do. Now I have not blocked this. I'm not sure if I will bother to block it. This will just be something I'm going to wear around my neck. Again, in the wintertime, not really right now, but it really came out lovely. I'll see if I have the actual, yes, I do still have the yarn that I actually used. So this was the first skein of yarn. So this was the garter stitch here. This is really beautiful. And then what I decided to do as well, which I had done on the smaller cowl, is that I had I couldn't find the exact shade that I wanted to go with this yarn. So in fingering weight, this is a fingering weight yarn, dyed by a Saratoga dyer, really beautiful. But I could not find in the store a fingering weight that would really complemented it. But they did have this beautiful skein of lace weight yarn, which I thought really was very, very nice. Now, but they're two different yarn sizes. And so when I came home, I actually had forgotten, and I pulled this out a couple of weeks later, and I was like, "Oh, Sophia, I bought this lace weight yarn." And she goes, "Yes, Mom, don't you remember you said when you were in the store that what you would do is just you would hold the lace weight double?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't really remember that, but that must have been what I was thinking at the time." However, when I actually pulled it out to start on the project, I was like, "Nah, I don't really want to double this up. I'd have to skein up 2 different parts of it." So I thought that I probably had some yarn that I could use with it in my stash, and I did. And this is a cone. I have no idea what this is. I can tell you, I have no idea when I purchased it, and I have no idea what it is, but it is fluffy. It's a little bit fluffy, so there might be some mohair in here, but it's also a lace weight yarn. And so what I decided to do is to hold these 2 together, and I think that worked out really well. So you can't really tell that you're holding 2 yarns together here, but it does, you can see just on the edge, it gives you a little bit of fluff in the piece, and it mimics a fingering weight yarn. So it came out perfectly. I'm really happy. Very, very happy with this. I really like, I've knit several of Meg's patterns, and I really like them. I just kind of have them tucked away, and if I have a special skein of yarn, I'll kind of pull them out and find one of her patterns that I like. She does these lovely, really lovely shawls, and I think they're beautiful. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm happy to have that done. That was a very restful knit. As I said, her patterns are fairly easy, but they look beautiful. But they are not something that you have to think about a lot once you get going on them. And that, again, I'll talk about at the end, but that's really what I needed have at the time. The other project that I used with this yarn, that I actually bought the yarn for, is called the Crisscross Cowl. It's by Jill Ramus Designs, and Jill is a native Saratogian. She actually was a couple of years behind me in school, and so I've known Jill for a long, long time, but she does several patterns for the local yarn shop there, and this was one of them. This was just a really cute little cowl. You knit it flat, and then you seam it together in the back, so it's just kind of an asymmetrical cowl. But again, I use the same idea. I use the two different yarns, and I held that beautiful lace weight together with the white. And again, this will just be a really pretty little accent piece in the fall and in the winter, and be beautiful with a turtleneck. But again, this was a really nice pattern, easy to do, and I very much enjoyed doing this. I'm glad that I was able to finish this as well. The third project, I think this is third, right? Yes. Fourth project. Fourth project is I have 2 pairs of socks that I finished. I work in Boston, and I go into Boston 2 days a week. So sometimes I take the bus to the T, and then the T into the Fenway. But when I do take the bus, I'll have 20 or 30 some days minutes to knit. So basically what I will do is I'll just throw on a podcast, and I'll pull out my pair of socks. And socks are perfect for that because they're very portable. They're a very small project. If I have a complicated pattern, I just have it on my phone. But I haven't been doing too many complicated patterns recently. But so I have 2 pairs that I have finished. The first pair is just a really simple ribbed pattern. I think it's 4x2 rib pattern, something like that. Nothing complicated. I just decided to do that. And this is knit with a ball of the Zauberball German yarn, and I think I got this in the Woolly Thistle. She puts up a sale, I think every season, where you can buy a bag, it's almost a grab bag of sock knitting yarn. So I did that last year as well as a kind of a gift to myself, and this was one of the skeins in there. So this is just super fun. I really like the Zauberball yarn. I think it's just crazy. It's really fun. It's a marled yarn, so it's not just self-striping, but it's marled, but it is striping, and it's just really a lot of fun to do. I do all my socks. I knit from the toe up with a short row heel up to the cuff. So that's just the way I do it. If I purchase if I purchase a sock pattern, I'm purchasing it for the chart of the patterning, and I will just look at the chart. I look at nothing else in the sock pattern beside the chart, because I'll just go ahead and do my toe, do the patterning, and I usually will just do the patterning on the front of the sock. Sometimes I'll do it on both sides when I get up to the leg portion of it, but most of the time I'll just do the patterning on the top of the foot and then on the front of the leg. So I really don't, if I buy a sock pattern, I really don't look at anything else beside the chart. And that's just for me, because I know what I like to knit in socks. I know how they fit my foot well, and I just know that when I do that I'm going to be happy with the outcome. I remember years and years ago, I probably spent an entire year buying and knitting different sock patterns. There was toe up, they were cuffed down, they had a heel flap and gusset, short rows, and I was just frustrated because they would never quite come out correctly. And so I finally started figuring out, I just like to do them toe up. I like to start with that. I think you can do Judy's Magic Cast On. I think mine is called a Russian cast on that I do. It's pretty simple. I can do it. Sophia's like, I could never do that, Mom. I'm going to do the Judy's Magic Cast On when she does socks. But I just do the same thing on the toe, move up, and then it was a revelation when the Fish Lips Kiss heel pattern came out years and years ago, and that pattern looked incredibly intense because there's probably 10 or 15 pages of patterning. A lot of that is showing you how to make a kind of a mold or a pattern of your foot, and then how to use it. And really there's like one page of actually how to do the short row heel. So I did that for a long time, and then I switched to a suspended short row heel, which again you can Google that and you can take a look. Denise, the Earth Tones girl, has a great tutorial on doing a suspended short row heel as well. So that's just my take on socks, and that's what I like to do. Everybody is different, so don't feel bad if you do a sock pattern exactly the way it is. But it really doesn't matter. You don't, even if it's a lace pattern or a cable pattern. Doing it up the sock or doing it down the sock really does not matter. There are no sock police out there that are going to say, "Ooh, that pattern's going the wrong way." That's perfectly fine. But anyway, these were just super fun, easy to do on the bus. The next pair of socks that I finished are actually by the Earth Tone girls, Denise, Earth Tones girl, and she put out a tutorial on how to do helical sock knitting, and I had never done that. And I watched it and I was like, this is great. I am going to try this. And so I was really excited to get that pair of socks off so I could try the helical knitting. And I thought it was fabulous. And the same type of thing. I just did it toe up. I just started toe up. I just did a regular toe, and then I started to do the helical knitting when I got to the foot. And basically what you're doing is you're knitting, it's almost it's striping, but it's not just striping straightforward, especially because you use a kind of a one plain yarn and then one that's either speckled or is has some changes to it. You could use just one that's just a single color. Mine was more variegated on this, so I thought this was really, really fun to do. But so this is knit with two different yarns. So I've knit with that green yarn for one, I think 2 rows, 3, I can't remember, but you can look at the video. She does a great job with it and how to do it. And then you switch to the contrast yarn, and then you switch back, and there's a unique way to do that so that you don't really have a line of where the changes are made on it. And I thought it was really fun. It is not difficult to do, and it just gives you something to think about. I like to put some type of a patterning in my sock. I just get really bored if it's just a stockinette sock, like no pattern at all. I'm just knitting and knitting and knitting. That doesn't do much for me unless it's really beautiful self-striping yarn. And even at that, I might put a slip stitch in or a pearl row somewhere along the line just to give it a little bit of interest to kind of keep myself engaged in it. This was a lot of fun, and I'll link the video in the description box as well if you're interested in doing it. And I will do this again. I haven't bought 2 more yarns to do it with, but I will definitely do this again. This was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to get these on my feet, probably in the fall. But again, just doing it as I will. So I always have a pair of socks on the go. They're my pick up and get in the car project. So I'm very pleased with this. This was a lot of fun. I really recommend it if you like knitting socks and you have 2 colors hanging around that are contrast enough. It's a really great technique to try. And I think that's all I finished. So we can move on to some works in progress now. Works in progress. Let's see. I have all my bags around me. Let me see what I can pull out today to show you. The first thing I think I'll show you is my newest pair of socks. Of course, since I cast off my other ones, I try to start one right away, right again. It's the same with the second sock syndrome. As soon as I finish the first one, I'll cast on the second one. Even if I do no more than a couple of rows on the toe, then it's done and ready to go. This pattern, this is really fun, just some fun yarn. Adria Fill, and it is Cowsa socks. It's really just kind of a cute multicolored striping pattern. I think it's probably it's self-patterning too. It doesn't show you the pattern on here, but now that I see that it's knitting up, it's a little bit self-patterning as well. So that's really fun. I've decided to do the Fairground socks by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I have had that pattern for a little bit, and I just haven't cast it on. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and try that. So this is how that's knitting up now. It's really cute. And I just finished the toe, and now I'm going to just started working the patterning. It's like a shell pattern, a feather and fan pattern. So it's pretty easy. Now I could have done, this pair of socks, I have plenty of yarn here in the skein. So I just go ahead and do the toe and the heel with exactly the same yarn. I don't worry about doing a contrasting heel and toe yarn on this one at all. This is just really, this will be really fun. It's going to be cute. It'll be interesting to see what all of the patterning is when I get to it, but really happy. So this is on the needles. This is in my bag. It's always in my backpack, ready to go, ready to go to work, to be worked on at either on the bus or at lunchtime. So I'm really enjoying that. It's a simple pattern. I really like it. I think it's a 4-row repeat. And again, I think the pattern is written top down, but I just purchased the pattern. I really love all of Kay's patterning, but I just use it for the actual pattern and the little chart that she has of the pattern on that one. So those are my next ones that are on my needles. Then the next project that I have here is an interesting one. It is called The Frozen Coast. It's by Lana Joy, and I have knit some things of hers before. This one is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful lace shawl. I have not knit anything really lace in a long, long time, and I think about it every now and again, and then I get caught up in doing a sweater or just doing my socks or doing something else. So I thought this pattern came out and I really liked it, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and purchase this and knit this up. It's just something that I haven't done in a long time, and I really like to do it. I like to work from charts. I forget. When I get going, I like to do color work and I get concentrated on that, but I also really like working from charts. I am not someone who wants the pattern written out. It's very hard for me to follow it that way. I've said this before, but I use the Knit Companion app. I have it on my phone and I have it on my iPad as well. So I don't ever print out a knitting pattern either. And the Knit Companion app is really great because you can highlight exactly where you are. They have counters on there. You can make it big, you can pull it in and make it smaller. Each page of the pattern is there, so anytime you get a pattern, put it in Ravelry or put it on your phone, you can upload it right into the Knit Companion app. My sister-in-law Tracy showed me this app literally years ago, and I've never looked back. I don't think I've printed out a pattern in forever. But it's really, I find it to be very useful. I really like using it. But so for me, this is great because I can pull up and see just where I am in the chart in the app. Sophia and I went to the yarn shop a couple of weeks ago. Marblehead Knits, right around the corner here. I'm lucky enough to have one right around the corner. But we went down there because I bought this, and you buy this pattern, you're like, I really want to get started on this. I didn't really have. I have to say, I had a skein of some beautiful pink and white lace yarn that I had gotten, I think, in a swap years ago. I don't even remember what swap it was, but it's something. And this really frustrates me as well. It was an independent dyer. I don't remember where it was from, but I pulled it out and started to wind it, and it just got tangled, and there were breaks, like literal cuts in the yarn. So many places. I couldn't believe it. It just got to be, it was untenable. I couldn't wind it up. There were just too many breaks to it. It was getting too tangled, and there was just no way I was going to do that with a lace weight yarn. And so I just, I gave up the ghost and I just threw it away. I hate to say I did that, but I did. I was just never going to do anything with it. And it was very sad because it was a beautiful skein that I've just kind of had on my desk forever. And I thought I'd pull that out for this. And it was very, very disappointing when that happened to me. So we went to the yarn shop to look for a skein of yarn, and she didn't have a lot of lace weight available, but she had some linen yarn and some other kind of lace weight. I forget what it was, but Sophia and I were looking, and we went back and forth, and Sophia said, I really like this skein. I think this will look really beautiful. And I have never knit with linen before. I have knit with a cotton blend years and years ago, but I've never knit with just linen. I probably knit with something that had linen in it, but this is just soft linen. It's called Concept by Katya. There it is. And it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. So it has kind of this grayish tone in the middle, and then it's going to go out to a deeper blue and then come back into a lighter blue. And it's really, really lovely. And Kate, the owner of the yarn shop, was like, I'm worried I hope it doesn't tangle for you. And I was like, oh, that'll be fine. But it actually has not. It has been perfect. I'm just pulling it, right from the middle here, set it down. I have had no issues with tangling whatsoever. So I'm very happy with that as well. I might tighten this up as we get closer, use up more of it. But I have plenty to do this particular shawl. And again, I'll put a picture up here for it too. But it is, I don't remember which is the front, which is the back. I think this is I think this is the front of the yarn. Now you can see this will block out incredibly. And that's the other thing too. Linen it's not uncomfortable to work with, but you can tell that it's hard. It's not soft like a merino yarn would be at all. But it's, again, not difficult to work with. It's just a very different texture, but it is going to get softer. I'm sure it will get a lot softer when this gets blocked out. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to block this or how I'm going to block it now that I don't have my mother-in-law's backyard to do this in anymore, but we'll figure it out at the end. But it's really pretty. Again, it starts out with a point, and then you're making it bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just gorgeous. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it will even block out bigger now. And I'm really liking it. Pattern is not difficult. I think I forget what it is, 20, 25 rows of the actual lace, but you're doing a lot of just plain knitting in between. And the back side is just purling. So it's not a two-sided it's not a two-sided pattern. Sometimes lace patterns, you'll do lace on the front and lace on the back as well, but this one isn't. So it's just lace. The lace pattern is on the front, and then when you do the back of it, you're just purling across. So it is pretty simple, and again, the repeats are not difficult. Right now, we're just doing this lovely this lovely kind of rectangle. And then you're just repeating that across. So each time you get, once you finish one repeat, then you're going to add the next one on as well. And I don't use lifelines. I probably should, but I don't use lifelines. But what I do is put little stitch markers in between each of the repeats of the patterning, so that I know, I can count it. I know if I've done something wrong, if I have an extra stitch somewhere, and I can just go back in that row. I really try to take care and take care of that if I run into anything. But this is a very simple lace pattern, so I have not run into any issues with that right at this point in time. But I'll continue to show you my progress at this. I'm really interested to see how it fares once it gets washed. It wouldn't be scratchy, but it feels kind of crunchy, like linen would feel, but not scratchy at all. But it's really beautiful. I like the coloring of it, and I'm just having a lot of fun. I don't do this every day, but I will pick this up and try to do at least one repeat every week, and so that's really nice. I'm very happy with that. And I have these little. These are great. I have no idea what the company is, but I picked these up in Saratoga when we were at the yarn shop. But they're really cute little stitch holders here, so that it's going to stop your stitches from coming off. And you can also use it. It's on a little spring, so it goes up and over. So I forget how large this can go, but pretty large. But it's on a spring, so it really fits on anything. And then you can also use it if you are, you have a big piece on and you don't need to want to keep moving it and moving and moving. You can use the other end of it up against your your knitting, and use it to push it over. So those are just a cute little thing. I'd never seen a type like this before, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick these up as well. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm glad I decided to kind of get back to a beautiful lace project as well. Let's see. And of course, once I finished this lovely sweater, I did need to do another sweater. And oh no, that's not the one. This is the other bag. What I also did at Christmas was I gifted to myself a kit from the Woolly Thistle, and this is the Tree Light pattern by Jennifer Steingass. And it doesn't look like much yet now. It uses Let Lopi yarn, and it comes with all the yarn that you need. And you do have to buy the pattern, but that was fine. I had it already, and it doesn't really look like much now because again, it's a bottom up sweater. But I just finished. This is really interesting. This is the bottom of the sweater, but it's a garter rib at the bottom. So you do the garter rib. I think it's 3 inches or so, and then you're going to move to a stockinette. And I think she has you do some shaping as well on it. But yeah, this is really interesting. So it's not a ribbed bottom at all. So I'm like, oh, I like that. I had not realized that, and I think you do this at the end of the sleeves as well, for the cuff of the sleeves. So it's going to be a ribbed cuff for a certain number of inches. So I'm really pleased with this, and it has the contrast yarn, and it's lovely. It has been extremely hot, so a little difficult to work on this, but as the weather cools or on a rainy day, I can pick this up. But again, I'm not in any rush to get this. This will just be my kind of like need some simple knitting project here. I have been doing some spinning as well, which has been really fun. Let me put that back down. Oh, before I say that, I just wanted to also say that last summer I just finished this by Kate Davies, and last summer I participated in a knit along that Kate had. It was really fun. I think you ended up with a shawl I just needed something like that last year. And this summer, she's doing a kind of a casual knit along for a sweater of hers. And I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it up here though. And I really like the sweater. It's a cardigan. I'm not really a cardigan person, but I really like the look of this. I thought it looked really, really fun. So I'm going to try it. And I'm just going to use some stash yarn for it. I have a ton. I have a lot of stash yarn, so I have that I'm going to use it that kind of matched her colors of the sample that I wanted to do. So I have a mixture of these, and I forget I had to order 2 other ones, but they're coming. So this was not a big investment of money, and it'll just be a fun thing to do for the summer. But I'm looking forward to casting that on when the rest of the yarn shows up. So that'll be another one that I'll have on the needles. And this is a really, well, as I said, I'll put the picture up here. So it's a really, really beautiful kind of a zigzaggy pattern, and I'm looking forward to getting into that. And then I have been doing some spinning as well. I've really been meaning to get back to that. I just enjoy it. 6 and 7 Yarn has been she started out doing some fiber this year for the first time. So that's really exciting. I've knit with her yarns before, and so when she came out with some fiber, I've tried two different ones. She has a fiber club of the month. You don't have to join for it monthly. You can just purchase one for a month. I've gotten 2 of them so far, and I really enjoyed it. This was the first one. I don't remember the name of it, but it was really pretty. It's looking a little orangey on camera, but it's more of a pinkish hue. But this was really fun, and just did it. I'm not really particular about my spinning. Spinning for me is just kind of the joy of sitting down and watching the colors. I'm not spinning for a particular project. What usually happens is it will come, it'll kind of come out to be maybe a DK weight up to a worsted. It kind of just depends on what the fiber is. Sometimes I will split the fiber in 2 and spin the braid together, which is what I did with this. Sometimes I'll spin the entire braid, and then I will ply it with a commercial yarn, like a commercial lace weight yarn, either of a contrasting color or something that goes along with it. And that way I kind of get more bang for my buck out of the fiber. But this one I just did together. And then I have, I do. That fell on the floor. And then I have this beautiful bag of a lovely Romney and mohair from Kingdom Fleece Fiberworks. And this is beautiful. Can't wait to dig into this one. This is so pretty. I think I'll do this when I get what's on my wheel right now, and I'll do this one. And then I purchased Rachel's April Club as well. And here's the tag. 6 and 7 fiber. And this is April. It's called Shepherd, and it's really just like these beautiful muted purples and blues and greens. And this looks really pretty. So this will get on my wheel as well. Now that I've kind of gotten my mojo back and got this off, and I think that will be a good thing for a good thing for me to get back to. I just like it. It's always in the living room when I look at it, and I'm like, I need to do it. And then the last thing that I'll show you, because I show this every couple of times, but I used to do cross stitch years and years ago when I was younger, and then my eyesight kind of started to go downhill, and I got into knitting, and I kind of left the cross stitch behind. But like 2 years ago now, I think I decided, I thought, I'd like to try that again. And now that I've had my cataracts removed and fixed, my eyesight is much better. I just need readers now, and so that makes things really delightful. But as many of you know, Sophia and I took a trip to Egypt 3 years ago now. I guess it's 3 years ago now, and just had a fabulous time, of course. But I found a sampler. It's by the Long Dog Sampler Company, and they do all of these beautiful beautiful, beautiful cross-stitch patterns that are designed for either like one color or to kind of do a mix of like a gradient of color from one corner to the other, but I'm not there. But this one is an Egyptian pattern, and so I have finished one whole patterning on the side now, and I'm working on my second column of patterning. So this is a big accomplishment because this is gonna take forever, and as you can see, it's a huge piece. It's gonna go all the way over to the end. So I forget how, there's probably 6 more columns to go, and I'm just using this really beautiful blue color. So this has been really a joy to work on. And again, I don't work on this all the time. I will kind of put it aside and forget about it, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta pull that out again, and then I'll kind of get into it for 3 or 4 days and then move on to something else. But I'm really happy to be back doing this again. It was really a joy of my younger years, and I'm happy to be doing this again. But so I won't show this every time, but I'll show this when I make some more progress on it. I am really just enjoying being able to do something completely different than what I normally do. All right, I think those are all my works in progress for right now. So let's move on to some chatter. So what has been happening here? I think the last time I podcast, I said that I was going to try to come back at least on a monthly basis, and that didn't really happen, unfortunately. And we had a tough year last year, and we've had some tough things going on already this year. So hopefully this is the end of it, and we can begin to relax a little bit. But as you remember, my father-in-law passed away at the end of 2 years ago, and then my mother-in-law passed away last year. So we dealt with all last summer dealing with taking care of their estate and selling their home, and kind of getting back to normal after not having, especially my mother-in-law, around anymore. And she died in Florida, so that was a whole other thing as well. We had to get her back up here, and it's been crazy. I've spoken about it before. So we thought that things were going to be quiet and a little bit, and then at the end of April, I think it was April now, the months kind of run together, but I think it was in April sometime, I had a call from my sister-in-law that my father was kind of going downhill. Now he has not been in the best of health. He's not been bad, but he has had some mild dementia for several years now. He had been having he would tend to have these really, really vivid dreams, and he would think that they were real. And, he would think people were taking things or stealing things from him. I mean, his physician was able to get him on some medication that kind of helped some of that, because it would just go in a loop in his head. He would think that someone had stolen something, and then he just could not let it go. He would think somebody took this, somebody took this, somebody took this, and would go around and around and around and around. And he remembered who everybody was. He wasn't forgetting. He actually didn't. It was literally dementia. He did not have Alzheimer's. So he remembered who everybody was, and he certainly knew everything. But he didn't really have a lot of short-term memory anymore. He would tell you the same story, even if it wasn't a bad one. If you start talking about something, he would talk about it, and you could try to talk with him about something else, and he would just it would all of a sudden turn around and back to the same thing. So luckily my parents, my brother and sister-in-law and their kids lived right next door to my parents, and my other brother and sister-in-law lived just outside of town. So there was a lot of family around and a lot of help. He had been getting a little bit worse. He was getting frailer as well. Now he was 92 years old. He was not a spring chicken or anything, but he began to get a bit frailer, and he was blind, really blind in both eyes, and he didn't know it. He in his mind, he could still see, he could still watch the TV, he could still see everything. Which was fine. The doctor was like, that's great, because in his mind, he's kind of just living a happy life once they took care of those vivid dreams that he was having. But he had fallen a few times. and things were just not. You could tell that he was getting frailer. Mark and I were there in March, and we spent some time with him, which was nice. Like I said, he totally remembers who we all are. That was not an issue. So we got to spend an afternoon with him in March, and then by the end of April, he was failing quite a bit. He'd fallen several times, and then suddenly, just one day, he just woke up. He really couldn't use his legs anymore. So I remember getting the call from my sister-in-law and spending probably about an hour on the phone with her, because the doctor had suggested that it probably was time they should probably call hospice. And unfortunately, I'm the one in the family that has had the experience with hospice care, which is a phenomenal thing in this country. It's one of the best things that we have. But she spent a lot of time talking with me about that. I talked with my mother about it, and so they did contact hospice. They came, and so, but they went through. They probably went through about a 2-week period, which was pretty rough. With my father-in-law, it was more like a 3-month rough patch, but with my father, it went pretty quickly. So they had about 2 weeks where, my brothers kind of took turns staying overnight there to help if they needed something. They got the hospital bed in. The hospice nurse came pretty much every day. They began to get him on medication, and he just kind of slowly began to fade away. And we knew, and there were the different stages that you go through. You just knew that was what was coming. And at one point he was asking about he wanted my brother to tell his Aunt Nora that he'd be there, and everything was fine. That he was really looking forward to seeing her. Now, his Aunt Nora is someone he lived with when he was in college, and I think I met her once, but she was very ill at that time, and I was probably about 5 or 6 years old at the time, so she has not been around in a long time. So if someone starts kind of talking about their family like that, it's also one of those signs that things are coming to an end. And in fact, that is what happened. We didn't go again. There really wasn't any reason to. Once he began to fail, he really was pretty much unconscious most of the time, sleeping. So there wasn't really a need for us to go there. We'd seen him in March. He knew who we were. He was, we had a great conversation and everything at that time. But my sister-in-law did have had a baby camera set up in the bedroom where he was. So that was actually really good for me, because I could kind of dial in at any point and kind of see what was happening. And then that final night, I think, I forget what it was. Sophia had gone out. Mark was like, I'm just going to go to bed. And I said that I had the camera on, and things were getting a little bit, we knew I didn't think it was going to be much longer. And so I just stayed downstairs and I said, look, I'm just going to sit here with this and, take it for what you will. But it was interesting because at some point in the evening, his oxygen levels were dropping. His breathing was kind of getting worse. But I don't know that my mother was in bed with him, right next to him, and I'm not sure she knew I was there. And I said to my brother, who was there, and I said to him, look, you tell Mom that I'm here, that I'm on the camera, so she knows that I'm here. And so he actually leaned over my father, and I think he had to kind of yell at my mother, who doesn't hear very well, but he had to yell it to her that that Lisa is here. And she had to say it a couple of times to her, and she finally figured it out that I was on the camera and waved in the whole 9 yards. And it was, about 20 minutes later, he took his last breath. So it was, I'm glad that we had that camera, and I'm glad that I was, there for it. But it was a tough one. I have to say that I just feel very numb right now. Having three parents, 2 in-laws, and my father passing away all within 2 years is a lot. It really was a lot. so we went. They didn't have. My mother didn't want to have a funeral. He was cremated, but we did want to have something, have a wake for him at the funeral home. So Mark, Sophia, and I went out for that weekend. It was a couple of weekends later. We went out for that, which was really nice. It was really, really nice. He was a very, very well-known person in the community. He'd lived in Saratoga probably since maybe before I was born. So this was probably at least at the end, late 50s, and after they got married, they had an apartment in Saratoga, but they were there forever. He was a pharmacist by trade. That's what he went to school for. So he owned a pharmacy right on Broadway, and everybody went there. Everybody in town went to him. It was great for me. It was, as a kid, it was an old-fashioned pharmacy. It was old-fashioned pharmacy. So if you see the pharmacy in It's a Wonderful Life with Jimmy Stewart, that's exactly what our pharmacy looked like when I was a kid. In the 70s, they refurbished it and redid it, so it doesn't look like that anymore, although it kept a lot of the old pieces in there anyway. But it was a really great place for a kid to grow up. But he was a pharmacist for life, so everyone in town knew him. And he was also very involved in the downtown association. He was involved very heavily in his Rotary Club. He was just on a lot of different committees. He was on the committee for our high school. He was on the board of education for my high school. He just did so much for the community. So everyone really, he touched a lot of lives in town, and that was really nice for us, for the family. My mother didn't come. She's like, I don't want to deal with it. But we all were there. So my two brothers, their family, Sophia and Mark, were there as well. So we had a lot of people come, and it was really, really very, very nice that they all came. So that was, it was a nice ending for us. And then the next day, we had his ashes interred over in Schuylerville, where he grew up. That's where my mother's parents are there. I had a sister that died and never even met her. She died when she was a baby after she was born. So her remains are there, and so that's where we placed his ashes as well. And it was very nice. It was a nice way to end things. But we've told my mother, that's it. Stay healthy, because we're not doing this again for a while. Poor woman. But she has been doing well. Like I said, there's a lot of people around, so that really is good for her. And we're happy that it happened, April-ish, so that the weather's getting nicer. I think it would be more difficult for her if we were going into the deep doldrums of the dark. It happened right before the winter. So this is better because they have a pool that the kids get ready, and there's somebody there every single day. My sister-in-law brings her dinner every day, so she doesn't have to cook anymore. So there's a lot of people around to take care of her. Hospice, I did not know this. Hospice offers survivors counseling for grief counseling that you can take advantage of up to a year after whoever was in hospice has passed away. And I had no idea. I did not know that. And because we talked with her about that as well, and she said she might take advantage of that at some point in time. We just didn't want her, she doesn't want to burden us as a family, tell us her woes, because we, have just been through it with, took care of my dad, and how people are, like, they don't want to burden the family anymore with anything. So if she needs to, she'll take advantage of that. But she's doing pretty good. She's funny because she's like, yeah, I talk to him every day, and she goes, it's way better than it was because I can actually have a conversation now and not have to just continue the same thing in a loop over and over again. And she doesn't, she's in her late 80s now, so she was kind of having to take care of him all the time and worry about him, and she couldn't just kind of like go and take a nap without somebody else there. So she's free to do that. So I think that she's going to kind of recover a lot of her energy now. She's been like just constantly tired over the last few years. So I think in a way, it's been a blessing. It was fast, so it wasn't a lingering thing at all. And like I said, he was unconscious at the end. He did not. He was probably out for at least a week before he passed away. So, and the hospice was perfect. It happened at home where everybody was around him. So that was really nice. But I thought I would share with you some of the things that he liked to do today. I'll show you a picture first. And if you can't see this well, I'll try to put it at the end as well. But this is one of my favorite photographs. So this is me. This was at my first birthday, I'm pretty sure. So this is me. This is my dad. This is his mother, my Grammy, and her father. So I mean, I obviously met him, but he died before I don't remember him. I don't remember him at all. But I love this picture. I think this is really great. And I have another one with the other side of the family as well, with my mother and her parents. But this is a very special picture for me. And he was not only a pharmacist, of course, and did a lot of public service work, but he was a wood carver. He loved working with wood. So their garage is filled with woodworking tools, and he would make pieces of furniture. We have a table that he made for us actually has a piece of marble in it from the original fountain that was in the pharmacy that got taken out in the 70s. So that's really special to have. And he made a rolling cart, kind of a cart thing, but with a cutting board on the top of it for our kitchen. So we've had that for years and years and years. But he liked to do furniture, but he also liked to do fine woodworking. So he did make toys, things like that. He made lots of wooden toys, but he also liked to carve ducks. And I don't know where the love of ducks came from, or he just kind of picked it up in one of his fine woodworking magazines at one point and tried to do it. And then he really enjoyed it and did it. So I have 3 of them. So the first one is, I'll just show you as they go up in quality, but this is a little duck that he made for Sophia. So bottom it says, "For Sophia from Pop Lens, 1994." So she was born in 93, so he made this for her. He made one of these for all the kids. And you can see it's just, what's nice about this, he made this way, is because the kid can knock this around. There's nothing that can break off. It's all really solid. You can't even, there's just nothing that you can break off. And the way he made these in 2 pieces. So he made the head apart from the body, and then attached the 2 together, and did the lovely work. The eyes are just the wood. There's no eyeball in there, so a kid couldn't take that out either. So this was really special. So he made these for his grandchildren, but it's really a nice memento to have. And then he made one when Mark and I got engaged. When they came over to meet parents meeting for the first time, he brought a beautiful duck over, and he gave this to them as a gift. And so this was always in Joan's house, in their great room for everyone to see. And this is more of what he did. So this is beautiful. It has a lovely head, and now you can see it has the eyes here. But he has the beautiful feathering here, and these feathers, you can see they're just pieces that are out like this, and it's the same on the tail here. So it's really, really beautiful. I think he did. This is a pintail hen, and he's signed it Ed Lenz, 1984. So this is from 1984. So that's right when we got engaged. So it's really beautiful. So now that's mine again, and then he made one for us that he gave to us in this is a pintail drake in 1990, and it's signed by him. And this one, it has pride of place on our mantelpiece. That's what we've done forever. So this is a beautiful duck, and he has 2 different types of wood here, and the carving on the feathers. And again, the feathers are all these beautiful pieces here. This kind of curves up a little bit, and it's all the way out here. So this is just, a beautiful piece. And he always said with these is that really You can dust them, but the best thing to do is to kind of take them down and just rub your hands over them, because the oil from your hands will give the sheen to the wood. So I don't remember that all the time, but I try to do it, whenever I bring it down, I try to do that as much as possible. But they're just super, super beautiful. So that's kind of dealing with that, coming back from that, and just kind of dealing with that is kind of taken up my time over the last few months or so. Work is always crazy in this line of work that I do, but we now have the reconciliation for bill for next year has been finalized, and so we know that there are going to be some changes in loan programs for not for this year, but for next year, for the 26-27 academic year. So, but the issue with that is that you kind of have to start working on that now. So we're just kind of finishing up the awarding process for next year, for the 25-26 has not even begun yet, but we're finishing up the awarding for those students, and then we'll, as soon as that's done, we're going to have to start thinking about 26-27. So we're always a year out. So there are going to be some changes. So work is going to continue to be busy. I have a vacation now. I have a vacation at the end of September. In September, this one right now, we're just a staycation. I'm just going to stay home here for a week. But at the end of September, we will go down to Cape Cod. We've done that. And we're going to stay in the same Airbnb that we did. We stayed there two years ago, I think now, 2 or 3 years ago now. And so we got the same place, and so that's really nice. We lived in Sandwich, Massachusetts for several years, so it's like kind of going back to a home place. You don't have to think about where you want to go for dinner. We know all the places there, and so I'm actually looking forward. I'm looking forward to that. We have been totally immersed in Formula One car racing, and that comes from watching the Formula One documentary on Netflix. And so we've never watched Formula One before. Last year was the first time, and it's been so much fun. And they go on for so long. It's kind of like hockey in this country now. But they start in January. I don't think they finish up until December. It's really a long year, and the number of racers are fairly small, so you know who they are, you know the names of all the teams, you kind of get into all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes with it, and it's one of those things where you just don't know what's going to happen each race. They go from venue to venue to venue, so each week they're at a different racetrack. And it has been so much fun, and the races are whatever, an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so we usually tape them, and then we'll watch them the next day or the next morning. Like they race, because they're all over the world, so. But it's really been a lot of fun, really interesting to watch. And then of course it is Tour de France right now, so and I always have trouble because I never call it the Tour de France. I always call it Tour de Fleece. People are like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I mean Tour de France." But we, again, from watching a documentary on Tour de Fleece, Tour de France last year, 2 years ago, maybe. And so then we kind of got into watching that. And what's nice for us here is that YouTube has, I think, the Tour de France channel on YouTube. They have about a half-hour recap every day. So we get dinner and we turn on the recap of the day, and you have your favorites, and there's all kinds of, again, crazy kinds of things, crashes. You just never know what's going to happen with each. But we've learned so much. Like, you have no idea. You just when you think about those tours, you think, oh, they're just riding their bikes, but it's all this strategy. There's people that just stay in the peloton, that are people that are favored to do the mountain parts, people that are favored to do the sprinting, people that are favored to do the time trials, and you're like, I don't even know how to keep track of it all. But again, that's really been a lot of fun for us. And so what I've been doing is trying to spin during the Tour de Fleece when we're watching it. So I've been at least doing 15 minutes a day, so that's really great. I just finished up half of a braid from 6 and 7 fiber last night, and so now I'm going to start on the second half of the braid, and so that's really good. It kind of gets me back into spinning, which is why I'm going to be pulling out some of my other fiber now that I've been doing it again and really getting back to it. So that's been very fun. Oh, and we did watch the Formula One movie with Brad Pitt, F1. It's a great movie, and you don't need to know anything about Formula One racing to watch the movie. That's what's really nice. You learned a lot about Formula One, but you don't need to know anything about it. It was fun. It was incredible. The camera work inside the cars is really amazing, and you just get such a crazy feel for it. And it's especially fun if you watch Formula One racing, but you don't have to. As I said, you really don't have to. I think we'll probably go see the Jurassic Park movie maybe this week since I'm off at some point. But I haven't heard anything. I think Sophia might be going today with friends of hers, so we'll see how that sounds. But other than that, we're just kind of looking forward to relaxing. We had a nice 4th of July. We had a neighborhood party across the street, so that was a lot of fun. There's this neighborhood here. The majority of the houses are people that are here for the summer and then go down to Florida in the winter. So it's really nice to kind of get back together with some folks when they come back up here for the summer. So that was really fun. We had the crazy Marblehead to Halifax race that was here. It's only every 2 years. Like next year, this same race, but it's from Halifax to Marblehead. When it's Marblehead to Halifax, it's just so busy. And it felt like there were thousands of people here. Last year for the 4th of July, there was a fire on the barge the morning of the 4th of July. So thankfully the fireworks didn't go off, but they had to cancel the fireworks. And so that night, and they canceled it that morning. So you can imagine this is a huge arts festival that goes on here. So that's all this, it's like the biggest thing that happens in Marblehead every year is the 4th of July Festival of Arts with the fireworks. They have harbor illumination, so anyone who has a property on the harbor gets a flare that day, and so they illuminate all the harbor all the way around. It's beautiful to see, and then the fireworks go off. There's the venue for the music is literally right here. It's right up the hill here. So we have music the whole weekend. There's very little parking, so you've got people trying to find places to park. And last year it was a lot because you had a lot of kids hanging around because the fireworks didn't happen. And so there was almost nothing to do outside of the music, which was fine, but it was really disappointing for people. And it seemed really, really crazy. And so, but on the other side, this year, we did have the fireworks. And so that was fine. So people wanted to come back now because it was going to work. The fireworks were going to happen this year. Plus we had the Marblehead to Halifax race. And you can't see it, but our house is literally almost in the parking lot of the Boston Yacht Club. So, and that's where the race starts. So we had hundreds of people, sailors, crew. They're all trying to find spaces to park. There's a party going on in the parking lot. There's a party going on up here. And I think by the end of the weekend, poor Mark and I were both oh my God. And we, in the past, we've been able to kind of escape and get over to my mother-in-law's house maybe, but we didn't do that. We don't have that option anymore. So it was just it felt like there were so many people and just so much noise. And that finally ended. And boy, the next day it was it just felt so much better. And it was a lovely weekend. There wasn't rain or anything. So it was a lot. But like I said, next year will just be the arts festival and the fireworks. The race starts in Halifax and comes to Marblehead, so it will end after the 4th of July, and they'll have a big party here when they all come in after the race. But it's not the same as having the whole crew here for the 5 days right during the 4th of July celebrations here. So yeah, that was quite a bit. I'm very happy that it is over now, and I'm just enjoying the quiet, the nice weather. It's been crazy hot early. It went from rainy spring to super hot, humid time. Ugh, and that's been rough, but I think we're going to patch now where the temperature is 70s, low 80s, which is perfect. We've had a couple of days where it's been up over 100, and we hardly ever have that. So we had over 100 and high humidity. Whew. it was rough. It was bad, and it was rough in Egypt, but it was very hot in Egypt. But it wasn't, it was dry. It wasn't humid, and that is the worst. And these a house like ours, an old house like ours, it's very hard to get the moisture in the air out of the house. And we don't have central heating. We have air conditioners, but still, they are working very hard, and it just always feels humid. There's probably like no insulation in the walls, and so once that air comes in, the wet air, it's really hard to get it out. But I think now we seem to be in a very nice patch. There's nice breezes coming in. If we can get a sea breeze in the afternoon, we're good. It's those days where the breeze is offshore where it can be pretty tough. But right now it's very nice. I think we'll have a really nice, a nice week to relax and get working on all these many different projects that I have here. So I think that's it for this time. So happy knitting, everyone. And I hope you're enjoying all of your projects and enjoying this summer. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye.